Now we're going to look at lesson plans. So when you click on lesson plans, this is going to be the main view that you see. You have the title of the lesson plan itself, which is the detail for you, and then you have homework notes. Anything that you put in homework notes is visible to the parent's view on Renweb. And so you want to make sure that this is applicable to all of your students and it is something that you want your parents to see. I typically put any upcoming quizzes or tests, and I put those for several days so that students and parents can see those upcoming. You do have this assignments and documents as well as teacher notes. This is going to be just for you. And then you have some extra ones down here. And so you can go into your settings and kind of clean this up with what you use and what you don't use. And so if you go into settings, you will see that it's only going to give you the Monday through Friday because probably no lesson plans going on the weekend. It automatically defaults to all of these being checked. And so I do go in and typically any documents that I actually attach in my lesson plan as a link. And so I actually take this documents off because I don't need that. You can leave teacher notes in case you want to make a note of whether or not a lesson worked or whether it didn't work. If you want just specific notes to remind yourself about something that's not actually part of the master lesson plan itself. I never use these labels here. You don't necessarily have to use standards. You need to leave the supervisor comments on so that as your lesson plans are being checked, then that person can potentially go in and make some notes or comments and suggestions as well. And so once you have cleaned this up a little bit, you can click Save and Close. And then you will see that it's reloading my view, and I just have the things that I actually use the most here. And so that helps a little bit. Now there are two ways to do lesson plans, and I'm actually going to show you how to do it using the course lesson plan. And so this is called, you're going to find this under stored lesson plans. And so if you go into the stored lesson plans, I actually already have them created. And so I'm going to walk you through a little bit using this particular option here. So once you have your lesson plans stored, there are going to be a couple options up here. You're going to see my lesson plan and the course lesson plan. And so the course lesson plan stays with the course. So whether you teach the same subject every year or whether someone else steps in and teaches this class next year, this course lesson plan will follow the course, not the teacher. My lesson plan follows the teacher. And so I always recommend that you take the course lesson plan and copy it over to yours so that you have it there. So I want to first show you how to create your lesson plans in this stored lesson plan. You're going to go to Manage Stored Lessons. And so again, it's going to default to my lesson plan. And so my lesson plan is yours specifically, but if you are new to teaching this course, you may have a course lesson plan already in here. And so if you do, you'll see that it's already there. If you don't, then both of these may be blank, depending on if someone has taught this course before you. And so you can copy it over to your lesson plan if you do have a stored lesson. If you don't, then you can create your lessons right here in stored lesson plans. So if you're in My Stored Lesson Plans, you are going to go to Create Lesson. And when you click Create Lesson, you're going to see this over to the right, Create Lesson. Here you're going to give your lesson a title. And so you're going to title this, it's just basically going to tell you a short idea of what you're looking at. And so if I am doing a section, maybe I'll tell the specific section. So section 2.2, and I'm going to say solving one-step equations. And so that's just a quick title to let me know what this lesson is about. And then I am going to click Save, and it's going to open up the rest of my fields. lesson plan. This is where you're going to put your step-by-step of what you're going to do for that particular day. And so you may have a lesson opener. So you may have a bell work option, and you could put either the page numbers or answer questions 1 through 5 and put that there. Then you're going to put in your actual lesson, what you're going to cover. You may put your lesson name again if it's going to cover multiple things, or however you're going to particularly work this. There are some features in here. You can do paragraph indentions and bullet points, and so that's really nice to make it a little bit sharper. And so you can go through what examples you're going to do or everything you're going to do in this particular class. Some other features that are available, you can click on this plus sign and it will let you do a hyperlink. So if you have maybe a Google Doc or something that you want to put in the lesson to be able to use, you would put the URL here and the text as well and just click insert and it'll do a hyperlink. And so you can adjust your text and your font size and the font that you actually want to use. You can do underline, italic, bold. All of this is customizable just like you would be able to do in a Word document. Keep in mind, as I mentioned, anything in homework is going to be visible. And so if you want to put whatever homework you're assigning and put that there, you can also put any quizzes upcoming here as well. I will say as you're creating your lesson plan here, you may not want to put the date exactly, but you're welcome to, but this may change a little bit as you copy it over to the course. And so very often here, I'll just put quiz and then what it's over. It's going to be over section 2.2. And then as I drag it over, you can upload documents here. There'll be more of an attachment. I typically, though, for documents, will use the hyperlink instead of uploading them. It's a little bit easier and more user-friendly. It does save as you go, and so there is no need to just save it. It's automatically saving it as you type. And so you'll notice at the top here it says saved, because as I type, it's going to do an auto save for this. Now, once you've created your lessons, if you have no lessons in here, I would recommend creating them a week at a time. And so you can really create as many as you want, but just not to overwhelm. You could at least create a week at a time. If you work ahead, that's fine too. But once you have your lessons created, they are going to be here. And at the end of the year, we can actually move them over to the stored lesson plans for the course if we need to. But once they're here, you're going to want to, on a weekly basis, copy this to the class. And so when you copy it to the class, you have all your lessons set up, and you're going to go to the week that you are lesson planning. And so if I'm lesson planning for the beginning of the school year, I'm just going to click and drag this onto the date that I want to do that lesson. And you'll notice that it actually tells me when I do not have that class in session. And so it's not going to have you drag it on there, and you're not going to accidentally put it on the wrong day. And again, I would not work too far ahead in dragging these lessons over, maybe a week or 2 weeks at a time. And you can see that once I have them created, I'm literally just dragging them onto my calendar. Once they're on the calendar, if you go back to your weekly lesson plan, and you'll see that I'm going to have to go to the date that I actually have school. It is now all in my weekly lesson plan. And this is where you're going to work from. This is kind of your working lesson. And so as I get to the week of August 14th, I have the days that I teach this class. The lesson plans are in there. You'll notice that I have the homeworks already here as well. You'll notice that I have quiz, and I haven't put the day there because that can change from year to year. And so I'm going to go back in and kind of clean this up and put what day they actually have a quiz coming up. You'll see that my formatting is here. So my bold is here, and I can click on the individual day and look at it as well. And I can see this. You can also print this weekly lesson plan. And so I do like to print my lesson plans. I like to know for sure that I have it in front of me. and I can kind of check off and make notes as I go through the week in case something bumps from one day to the next. And so you can go to this reports and you can print it. And so if you go to reports, I typically choose the class lesson plan and homework for the week. And so if I choose that one and click open, it's going to open the window for me to print. So when you choose that, you'll see that it opens up this secondary window. And from this window, you can print this pretty neatly. And then, as I mentioned, you can make notes if for some reason you don't get as far, or maybe you got farther than you thought. You can do some handwritten notes here to help you know where you are for the week as you're teaching. This does open in a second tab. So if you want to go back to lesson plans, it's still up here in your tabs.